trust and surrender. Such huge pillars of lightning. Such huge pillars of mastery and invitation and igniting coming through to really take us into the depths of trusting in our true north, trusting in our, our inner guidance, our inner wisdom, our inner knowing. And it's this beautiful dance, I find, because at times, in that trusting butts up against it everything that has been created in way of like the protectors, right? The protectors of our sleep state, or the saboteurs and so forth, really come to the forefront of the experience when we're kind of teetering on the edge of the next big journey through the birth canal of this existence here. And so, they go hand in hand, right? When we're at that place, when we're being guided, when everything sort of externally is saying like, this doesn't make any sense to trust right now. Like, look at all this, look at all these things. Like this, this simply doesn't make sense. That's when the magic elixir of surrender comes in. And it's like, okay, but I know what I know. I don't know how I know it. I don't know the who, what, where, when, whys of it. And I'm just going to allow myself to really embrace and sort of relax into and float into and engage into surrender. And a lot of times people get triggered with surrender as they do with neutrality, because they feel like surrender is giving up, or a sense of complacency, or, okay, well, I surrender, I'm just going to go and do whatever type of thing, right? And so, there's a big difference, as we know, between surrendering into, and sort of what would appear in a linear way, and the comprehensional sort of projection of the thinking mind. It would be surrendering, can equate to continuing to navigate upstream, right? Continuing to navigate again, what would appear to be, although there are no warring frequencies, in this place of elevation, but, swimming against the stream of what is the common thread and the common projection of what we are supposed to be doing, or, what makes sense on a linear, spectrum, so to speak. So really bringing through the invitation to dive deeper into awareness as we navigate through what feels like yet another really significant pocket of energy that is upon us and here and now. How can I participate more with this beautiful duo of surrender and trust? Where is my highest source self knocking at the door, handing me the playbooks for these, and and where are the parts of me that, are really hanging on and, in a tight way, a tight grip to the familiarity and the comfortability of, perhaps it's playing small, or perhaps it's, the comfortability and, and the thinking mind's way of sort of compartmentalizing, well, our primal needs are being met, within this system of operation and within this relationship, whether it's with, whatever, a person, a community, a job, this feels safe, this feels familiar, even though in the safety and the familiar is an ever-growing felt sense of combustion taking place, right? This like a trash compactor, like, I can't, my bigness is happening, right? Our bigness is happening. It's igniting and it's happening regardless if, to what degree of surrender. And certainly the surrender and the trust creates a more graceful and easy, flight, if you will. So, where am I potentially participating in the nature of what, feels like a warring frequency within, right? Of resisting the expansion that is inevitable, that is taking place, right? That is igniting through all the different resources that are flowing in and through and upon us right now. So, so just a beautiful offering in it, and maybe bringing it into our daily practices and participation in our, in our resurrectional codex that we're experiencing, right? Like, where can I surrender and trust even more into that, into the practices, into each one? What can they reveal or show or mirror to me that's showing up in my physical body right now, my mental body, emotion body, spirit body, as I participate, right? Because again, as we know, and as we're beginning to know even more and more deeply, these practices, each one of them, a resurrectional code that links and creates, the whole system of the resurrectional codex, is a consciousness field, that has limitless potential, and that is really igniting of our expression of the limitless potential that we are. So if we can almost connect with them, each one of them, as we're participating and igniting it within ourselves, and as though, a dear and infinite friend, right? As an extension and as a greater vehicle and amplifier of our connection with our highest source self, with source, with the creation of, all that is. So bringing that through as an offering, as we move and navigate through today and through this weekend, and, and so on and so on. But in particular, the energies that seem to be here and present right now as we move through these next 3 or 4 linear days, that are then segueing and into the new moon energy, which is a system within itself, right? There feels as though, there's almost this narrowing of the birth canal that's taking place with the energy that is here. It's almost like, it's very assisting, but it's a very compressing energy. So, bringing in the invitation to work with trust and surrender and the practices, and how we can remain in a place of expansion and illumination, and the greatest celebration of our most elevated and expanded selves and fields, even within these systems that are creating this felt sense of contraction. Because so many of us here, if not all of us, are very sensitive, highly sensitive people. And so, and so many of us here, if not all of us here, have ourselves in, different ways of participation where we're not always just in our little cave, right? I mean, we like our cave, we spend a lot of time in our cave, but, through children and through jobs and everything else, we're out there, right? We're immersed. We're part of this beaconing of unity consciousness, right? So we may feel the palpability of the compression, and just to remember, in that we always have the choice, right? To surrender, to trust, and to expand, to allow ourselves the spaciousness within it. But practicing even perhaps over the weekend, bringing in some of our more robust breath practices. If we start to feel that sense of like, right? Like that sense of, whoa, the walls feel like they're closing in a little bit, right? Bringing in our breath and remembering that the breath, these different breath practices are here to really, move us into and beyond our perception and of ourselves as being these very tiny linear physical beings, right? We have the ability to open up and to expand, and the breath is offering its divine grace and space and presence to assist us in participation of it. I feel like that might be all that desires to be shared of this.